Fuck off!
Trouble Talks, when you need title cards that look like a New World church just on the verge of being a cult. That's right, it's a mission. Everybody in this sphere has to defuse a bomb within 15 seconds. Go, 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 go! The voice of the globe, when it was surprisingly right about the Jews, especially the ones running this site.
In California, just north of the Mexican border,
is a guy with 7 teeth selling blood-stained clothes he mugged someone at the bus station for.
The first in the famous chain of 21 missions extending northward for over 500 miles.
Complete all 21 missions, you can win a silly hat. With the latest DLC, of course.
Bring Christian faith and civilization to the savage Indians
who respected nature and buffaloes and only occasionally ate their cousins.
The man whose leadership was responsible for the construction of most of these picturesque institutions was
Topher Grace off That 70s Show. I know, I was just as surprised as you are.
Each mission was placed a day's journey or about 30 miles apart, traveling on foot.
A surprising amount of fiber gave them the materials for this church.
Travel in a comfortable automobile. It averages less than an hour from mission to mission.
Make it to all 21 under 2 days, we'll give you St. Christopher's bones.
1798, and is now under the care of the Franciscan Father.
Which means soy chai lattes infused with HRT are in its bleak future.
3,000 Indians labored in the surrounding field.
All the work gallantly to solve the overages of one guy in Oklahoma. Be honest, dear brothers. Am I overdoing it with the manure? I think all the plants have receded. Now here's a fun game for you viewers at home. See how many Smurfs you can find in these bushes. If you answer more than one, the doctors are standing by with a 10-foot long drill bit. Hey, what do you mean you're throwing me out? I only jizzed on the great movie ride 4 times!
Relics and priceless mementos of early days in California.
A lot of these texts foretell legal billboards and Motel 6s full of illegal aliens.
This about 300 years old, and it is believed to have been worn by Father Perry, who was in charge of San
Called
Luis
Jessica
Rey
for a good time. I'm riding the donkey with the crimson red saddle.
This massive book of illuminated parchment is one of the priceless treasures of San Luis Rey.
It describes every word he ever said, even those times he tried pie-eyed to do the Mexican grito. He's a good boy. I'm sure I'm glad we stole you from that polio kid in Palo Alto.
The modern road which now connects the missions is known as El Camino Real, or
El
the King's
Fico
Highway,
Hobo who want to
and it
steal
followed
dinero
the
road.
mission trail that was blazed by the sandaled feet of Junipero Serra. San Juan Capistrano is famous for the annual Flight of the Swallows,
And the lesser-known
which
Flight of the
incidentally
Deep
is not confined
Throats.
alone to Capistrano, as practically all of the missions have to contend with the peregrination of the swallows. This is
The abandoned foundry where I shot up heroin before doing this voiceover.
1771. When the Padres were seeking the site for this mission, they were suddenly surrounded by a band of savages.
21 savages to be exact. Surrounding the Padres, got my beak, pulling that cap up, scabbing that beak.
Held it up to the gaze of the Indians,
Yeah,
who were so
yeah.
overcome that they threw down their bows and arrows and immediately offered their pipe of peace.
And much to the Padres' confusion, it was a polyethylene pipe.
Of the Virgin. San Fernando Mission, a few miles north of Los Angeles.
Which is either the name of a church or the name of a mission from L.A. Noir.
In the early days, more than 1,100 Indians lived at this mission.
Legends say their great chief aligned the stars together to give them a collective 2.5 stars.
Mission San Buenaventura was founded on Easter Sunday in 1782.
Which was built in the spot of the old Dillards.
One of the most flourishing settlements in California.
In 10 short years, it was already infested with homeless vagrants screaming at passing horses.
Joy to the traveler today, as it must have been when the sandal-footed Padres.
You can't hear it, but every time he said sandal-footed, he licks his palms and reaches under the desk to scratch himself. Well, that's what he calls it.
Ere night befell.
Oh, great. Just great. The one Sunday I decide I want to redeem myself, they lock the front door. Fucking Jesus.
In order to reach the Indians beyond the coast,
We had to physically level 15 states with seismic earthquakes so we could tumble downwards to said coast.
Since 1804, this old adobe patriarch has graciously watched the coming and going of generations.
But not before giving a few flirtatious comments to the biggest-breasted churchgoers.
who live in the surrounding communities. And the bells of Santa Ynez still ring out their benediction.
I'm sorry, they ring out
To
what?
the early padres who visioned, suffered, and worked to establish happiness, comfort, and beauty in California.
Well, now a good chunk of the state is burning down, and there are worms crawling in their skulls.
Members of the Capuchin order who endeavored to
You
follow
heard Gene
in the
Hackman
footsteps
died in
of
those
Saint
fires?
Francis
I know.
by living a life of strict
And Anthony
poverty
Hopkins?
while serving the
Oh,
cause of
yeah.
humanity to the
And
fullest
John
extent
Goodman?
of their ability.
Yeah.
Over the hills from
Unfortunate.
Santa Ynez, the Franciscan fathers founded La Purísima Concepcion.
When I asked the translator what that meant, he started to blush and he said,
"Oh,
no, I can't. You translate it for me."
For a number of years, La Purísima was the seat of government for the California Mission.
And that mission was to dictate how much electricity and water homeowners could use.
Established in 1772, this mission prospered and became famous
For making buds of weed big enough to fuel 7 How High sequels.
The Franciscans at San Luis became proficient in this industry. And not long thereafter,
The
all
savage
missions
Seth
used
Rogen
red
slaughtered the
tile
Padres and stole their goods to fuel
example,
everything
which
he's
San
made
Miguel,
since 2006.
standing much as it did over 150 years.
Listen, St. Joseph, I know this is in San Bernardino, but you have to cooperate. I cannot afford another buyer withdrawal. Now just stay in the ground, and I mean it when I tell you this. Bless this mess.
1771, Father Junipero Serra established this mission and named it San Antonio in honor of St. Anthony.
And St. Anthony
While
looked
addressing the
around and went,
Padres
yeah, that's
Father Serra
really
noticed the presence of
good.
pagan Indians who was
Way to
attracted by
go.
the sound of the mission bell. He approached the Indian and gave him some small gifts.
But mainly
From that day
Bath
on,
and
the
Body
natives
Works
appeared
gift
in crowds
cards.
to see Father Serra, whose language they did not understand, but whose gentleness had won their hearts.
Which they repaid by shooting 117 arrows at him, all at the same
There
time.
are a few that seem to be beyond restoration, and one of these is the mission Nuestra Señora de la Soledad.
Which doubles as both a tanning salon and a place to get cheap
Midway
rhinoplasty.
stop between Santa Ynez and Carmel. From the beginning of its history, it has truly been a mission of seclusion and solitude.
Apart from Thursdays, when those
An interesting
teenagers use it as their
contrast to this
airsoft
heap of
battlegrounds.
ruins is San Juan Bautista, one of the real gems of Father Serra's rosary of missions.
There's free, count 'em free, Raising Canes. Fuck, I can never find my way around these fucking missions, and it's always a Wi-Fi dead zone around here. Holler back at me if you're the Virgin Mary weeping tears of blood.
Perhaps more than any other mission, San Juan illustrates the architectural and engineering skill of the early Padres.
Lots of it involved throwing rocks at various canyons until they got the shape that they wanted. And they planted a lot of trees, courtesy of Whoville.
Although the mission trail extends itself to Sonoma, just north of San Francisco, our time is limited to one more important landmark.
And that's
Beautifully
Cherry,
situated
a
in the
6-foot-tall
valley of
Amazonian hooker who could deep
originally
front a
named
man's
San
legs
Carlos,
up to the thigh.
more familiarly known as Carmel Mission, founded by Father Serra and used as his headquarters.
Where that
during the
conniving
time he
fuck would get ice
established the
cream
first
banned
line
from the
of
town,
famous
until
21
1986
mission.
when Clint Eastwood would lift the ban. Look that up, it's actually true.
Died here in 1784.
Shame too. If he lived another 200 years, he could have listened to the kick-ass Van Halen album.
A fitting tribute to his memory. In summarizing the life of Junipero Serra, we would say that he was the man who first blazed the trail of Christianity in California.
Which means any and all statues of him have been toppled down and vandalized 4 summers
In
ago.
the soil, to come forth as the Golden State's first oranges, lemons, figs, olives, and wheat.
And with plenty of Ween the band, came pure guava. Cheat, bro.
No, I
You fucking
didn't.
cheated.
No, I
You
didn't.
started 2
No, I
seconds
didn't.
before
No, I
me.
didn't. No, I didn't.
Father Serra walked over 6,500 miles despite an ulcerated leg.
Yeah, stick that in your pipe and smoke it, Forrest Gump.
By the Pope, and it is possible that his justly deserved beatification may soon be announced. And if so, we hope to be the first to revere him.
Because that's Roman Catholicism. Basically a Minecraft mob vote. Hey, this is the sake of the grounds, you no scratch your witty. You say that kind of shenanigans for home. And why you had to pick up some holy water while you're here. That's right, folks, David Lynch is not dead. He just time traveled to make these short subjects.